Howdy folks. Well, let's talk about this US visa conundrum that we have at the moment. It's just absolutely ridiculous. For those of you that's watched our other video, which is linked up here, you will know that the issue that we have is that our kids and Belinda's US visas expires on the 23rd of July. We are supposed to fly to South Africa on the 15th of August, and while we had one stop in the US, so we needed US visas to actually stop in the US. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Canadians, a lot of you have been asking me, but you don't need a visa to just go through the US. Well, we do, because the way it works over here is that your visa and your entry to the US happens in Canada. So at Vancouver airport, you go through US customs, they check your passport, they check your visas, they check everything, and then they pass you into the US. So when you land in Chicago, you're not actually landing in an international section. You just land and you can walk out. It's straightforward. So yeah, that's the problem. We do need the visas to transit through the US from here. Anyway, long story short, Belinda did the applications, and what happened was hers was straightforward approved, but the kids needed to go in because they're now of age, they're now older, they need to go and do their biometrics and a quick interview at the embassy. A quick interview being the key point. The problem is that you have to schedule the interview, and when Belinda did it, the earliest time she got available time to schedule the interview was in September 2024, so over a year from where we are at the moment. So she scheduled it, and then the advice is, well, just keep on checking. There's cancellations all the time, and then, eventually you will find somebody that's cancelled, and you just reschedule, move it closer. Anyway, the bottom line is, there's no way we're flying through Chicago, so we accepted that, and we just had to book an additional flight. We just had to change our flight to not fly through Chicago, so now we're flying straight from Vancouver to London, and then London to South Africa. But the crazy thing is, that small little change cost an extra $2,500. Go figure. Anyway, so that's all sorted out. We can travel to South Africa and we can get back. That's all done. But I mean, we still do need to get the US visa sorted for Belinda and the kids, because, we go to the US quite often. We enjoy going to the US. There's always things happening. We want to go visit some friends. We don't want to we want to get the visas done. The problem is that Belinda has been logging in every single day to check if there's available times that's sooner. And currently, they can't even schedule an interview. The last time she checked, the first available interviews were in November 2025. So that's over 2 years away from now. And now, often days when she logs in, there is no available times. It's just like, no, sorry, you can't schedule anything. So we've been looking at ways to get around that. I mean, obviously we're going to keep on checking. It's just absolutely stupid. I mean, I do not understand how we live in Canada, which is a first world country, and we've got the US right next door, and they cannot figure out how to get those interviews done. When we drove through me and Connor drove through to the US the other day, we were actually at the border, and I asked the guys there, hey, we're sitting with this problem, do you know anything? Is there anything you can help with? And they were like, wow, that's ridiculous. Well, we didn't even know it exists, because the State Department handles the interviews, so we just border patrol. From our side, everything is fine. So Belinda actually gave them a call yesterday, because we checked online, and in South Africa, the waiting time for an interview online, they say, is only 21 days. So we're like, okay, if we're going to be going to South Africa, maybe what we should do is we should just book the interviews over there and then go and do it there, because there seems to be not a 2.5 year waiting time. It seems to be quicker. So yeah, of course, it's never as easy as it seems, especially with the US embassy. So of course we contacted them, the US embassy over here, and asked them, hey, what's going on? So the first thing Belinda asked them is, she's like, what's going on? Well, what's the problem? And they're like, yeah, we're understaffed and there's a whole lot of applications and it is what it is. And Belinda's like, well, is there something we can do? And they're like, no, you just wait and keep on checking. And Belinda tells them, but there is no available spots that open. So they were like, well, then it is what it is. The lady was pretty nice, but I mean, she was just pretty much going like, nah, it is what it is, wait. So I would assume that at some stage they are actually going to maybe employ more people. I mean, theoretically, I went to one of those interviews. Those things take like 10 minutes. I mean, if they just employ one extra guy, he should be able to do 6 an hour, say a 6-hour actual work day. You should be able to add another 36 interviews a day just quickly onto the system. But no, it's not what's happening. Anyway, back to where we were. So we ask her, can we do the interview in South Africa? And she's like, well, yeah, you just need to reapply in South Africa and then you can do the interview there. But whatever you paid, the application fees and the application on this side is non-refundable, non-cancelable. So you have to, they're not going to give you your money back. Now over here it was, I think, $130. So it's $260 that we paid for the kids' applications. You don't get that back, but you can reapply in South Africa and set another application in and try to do that. So we thought, well, you know, maybe it still is worth it. Belinda actually did that, went through the process. In South Africa, the application costs $185 US, which is, you know, it's actually ridiculous. Think in South African rand terms, it's like, you know, it's like almost 4,000 rand. It's like, it's crazy. But anyway, long story short, so she went through the whole process, and just before she pays, it gives you the available dates or the first available dates. And unfortunately, the first available dates falls just after our actual visit to South Africa. So that one is, that ship is also sailed. Although we're going to give it one more try. We're going to call South African Embassy, US Embassy on Monday and see if we can schedule a call, an interview while we're there. Because there is obviously a secondary risk to it. If we schedule the interview and we get our visas, you have to submit your passport for them to enter the visa, and then they mail it back to you. And so you actually have to give up your passport. It goes to the US Embassy. And if they dilly-dally and they don't send it back soon enough, you might actually end up not being able to travel back to Vancouver because you don't have your passport. Now that's only for the kids, because what Belinda also did yesterday is she split up. They were in a group, so she couldn't get her visa because she's in the same group as the kids. They wouldn't process her visa and stick it in her passport because she has to wait for the kids' interview. So at least yesterday what they said is, okay, they'll remove her from the group, and then she will get an email asking for her passport, and she can mail it in and they will process it, and apparently that will take about 5 weeks. So we still are exactly where we are. It seems that we cannot do the South African one. We are going to give it one more try, but if there's anybody with any advice, I would love to hear what you've done to get it expedited. And for the rest, the only answer is to log in every day and see if there's a quicker appointment. I mean, it's absolutely freaking ridiculous that this is where we're at, but it is what it is. And it's not like there's other appointments available throughout Canada. I think there's 5 embassies in Canada, and we check every single embassy every single day. No appointments available. It's mind-blowing, to be quite frank. Yeah, so any ideas, any suggestions, please let me know. All right, folks, have a good one. Cheers.